John Erskine, recognized as an author, educator, and musician, is most notably acclaimed for originating Columbia University's renowned General Honors course. This initiative eventually evolved into the university's esteemed Great Books curriculum and the concept of a literary canon. Within his own written works, Erskine frequently drew from mythology, folklore, and epics, cleverly reshaping them into satirical compositions that offered commentary on modern social norms and manners through the perspective of seemingly distant narratives. His 1927 novel, Adam and Eve, though he knew better, embodies this approach. Erskine took the foundational narrative of the Garden of Eden from the Book of Genesis and recast the tale of the initial human beings in Judeo-Christian lore through a secular and satirical lens. The novel is divided into 5 segments, which extend the concise biblical portrayal of Adam's story by incorporating elements from Jewish folklore. This expansion encompasses not only Adam's association with Eve but also with Lilith, who, according to Talmudic tradition, was Adam's initial wife. Commencing with the well-known narrative, the novel portrays God crafting the garden and populating it with various creatures, each paired with a mate. God then fashions Adam in his own image, a being that is solitary yet elevated above the animals, endowed with a soul unlike theirs. This act symbolizes honor in God's eyes and an appropriate status for Adam. Initially, Adam revels in awe, immersing himself in discovery and amazement. However, as time elapses, his solitary state morphs into loneliness. He endeavors to befriend the animals, yet their inherent natures hinder them from becoming fulfilling companions. In response to Adam's longing for companionship, God creates Lilith, who mirrors Adam in every respect, except for the absence of a soul. Despite this distinction, Lilith appears remarkable by modern standards in numerous aspects. Lilith, characterized by her self-reliance, generosity, and exceptional competence, possesses the ability to construct her own abode, care for herself, and love Adam without becoming reliant on him or subservient in any way. With her, Adam envisions a marriage founded on equality, embracing sexual exploration and spirited escapades. While content, Adam grapples with Lilith's apparent lack of a soul. He entertains the notion of God potentially granting her one as well, but divine intentions remain inscrutable. However, in response to Adam's entreaty, God takes an enigmatic course of action. Rather than simply endowing Lilith with a soul, God devises Eve, extracting a single soul and dividing it evenly, allocating half to Eve and the other half to Lilith. Eve diverges significantly from Lilith, embodying the most unfavorable stereotypes ascribed to women. She appears notably less intellectually capable than Adam, demonstrating inefficiency and relying on him to rectify her errors. Emotion prevails over logic and reason for Eve, utilizing manipulative tactics to sway Adam to her desires. Moreover, she disapproves of the existing state of nature in the garden and adamantly insists on civilization and domestication, rejecting cohabitation with animals. Adam finds himself torn between these two contrasting figures. He voices grievances about Eve's superstitions to Lilith, yet he succumbs to the impulse of being a protector rather than an equal, drifting away from his soulmate. Ultimately, the novel delves into a rehashed rendition of the virgin whore paradigm, caricaturing women rather than rendering them as multifaceted individuals. The narrative hinges on the division of a single complete entity, soul, into two, presenting a scenario reminiscent of Jekyll and Hyde, wherein Adam must choose between unbridled freedom and complete societal conformity. The stark contrast prompted extensive discourse among contemporary reviewers, underscoring the narrative's distinctiveness. A New York Times review offered a perspective, suggesting, Lilith introduced the concept of the double bed, while Eve introduced the notion of separate bedrooms. Lilith pioneered the concept of love, whereas Eve introduced the institution of marriage. The idyllic existence in the garden unravels when Eve insists that Adam wear clothing, asserting that without it, a stable home and a harmonious society are unattainable. Her reforms also cast a shadow over his prior relationship, as she highlights, she was living with you, and she wasn't your wife. Eve's influence deeply permeates Adam, leading him to internalize notions of his own superiority. This becomes evident after their departure from the garden and the birth of their first child. Adam's frequent refrain, Eve, I hope you don't mind my saying it so often, but I'm glad it wasn't a girl. After all, this is a man's world, underscores his newfound perspective. Ultimately, the narrative culminates in favor of the woman engaged in childbearing, homemaking, cooking, and crafting garments, emerging triumphant over her counterpart. The story concludes with Eve and Adam grappling with their newborn son, Cain, whose reactions to his colicky cries humanize them, transforming them from comically one-dimensional figures into the inaugural links in a chain of parents united by their paramount concern for their children's well-being. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.